you know, one of the things that just excites me is that you and I are trying to figure out how we take this model and make it available to everybody, because we know that millions of people can benefit from this family action plan, right?
Both sides, rich and poor.
Rich and poor, right? But to scale it from 43,000 people being served to 100 or 500,000, it can't be us pushing the model. We have to create a demand for it. We have a thing that works, we just now have to let everybody know about it, right? What we have to do is we have to get awareness of our model out there so that there becomes a demand, right? And so what you and I have been working on over the last weeks is how do we do this in the next 5 years? There's sort of a three-pronged effort. One is you're going to be doing a lot of speaking at conferences, presenting the case study. So maybe you and the head of Lagoa Hospital speak to a conference of hospital leaders or a conference of pediatricians, so that you know, in one conference, it's like, you know, I invest in medical devices. When the medical device is ready, what do? We present it at conferences to all the doctors that would use it. That's what we have to do. We have to intellectually and academically show them, tell them this story. And then I think what will happen is they go back to their hospital in Manaus or Fortaleza and they say, I've got to call Saude Crianca, I want this model in my hospital or in my pediatrics wing of the hospital. So I think there's this more mature way for us to present the case study and the model now that we have it. That's one. The other one is, I believe that we have an obligation not only to talk about our model, which is a model of social inclusion, but as our brand has become so powerful, whenever you and I talk about it, we don't just talk about Saude Crianca, we talk about social inclusion, the problem of social inclusion. And so the idea here is that we, you and I together, are going to create an annual conference here in Rio de Janeiro, the Saude Crianca Conference of Social Inclusion, where we will bring in healthcare leaders and public policy leaders and academics and young people and
people from business also.
People from business, private individuals, to in a 3-day conference where they hear what's happening in different areas of social inclusion, where discussions and workshops are had, where the next generation of thought leadership happens in social inclusion. And this doesn't exist today. And I think we have this powerful opportunity to use our brand and to educate and be part of the education and evolution process. And I think this will be a huge thing for Saude Crianca, for Rio de Janeiro, but in our ability to really spread the message. And you know, I'm a big thinker, right? So we'll do that for 3 years in Brazil, and then we make it the global conference of social inclusion. And social inclusion, to me, this is an opportunity and an obligation that we have, is to really further the discussion, keep the conversation going about how important this is, and to create awareness in all facets of society here in Brazil about social inclusion and what we have to do. But we need this one thing, right? We need to change our DNA in Saude Crianca, right? We have, you know, we operate out of different locations. We are developing a franchise model, which over time there'll be more families served in the franchises than here in Lagoa, right? So our whole DNA is changing a little bit. But you know, this idea of a center of excellence, where we have a facility here that can help us launch into the next wave of how we make Saude Crianca scalable, is so important. You know, a place where we can bring the franchises in and train them, a place where we can double or triple the number of families that we serve with dignity, you know, with space, where a psychologist can have a conversation with a mother without another mother sitting right next door. You know, some of the tools that we have today, there's so much demand that we have to create this center of excellence, right?
I believe in thinkers from all over the world coming to this center of excellence and changing ideas, not only to change ideas, but put into practice in their countries, in their communities.
Right.
And then
the
next year will be bigger.
But you know, you and I are going to spend the next 6 months making this center of excellence a reality, right? Yeah. And as with anything I've learned with NGOs, it's so much time is fundraising, right?
Yeah.
But
and this is crucial, to have the center of excellence is so important.
I think it's an obligation to find a methodology and a venue where these important discussions can be had. And they're discussions. There's many answers still to be found. And as the social conditions and challenges will change over the next 10 years, the model that we have, this 5-step model, it serves today. We also have to make sure that social inclusion thinking evolves so that our customers, the families, and the society that needs help, and the people helping.
There is a dimension of environment, how we promote social inclusion, but thinking about environment.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm so excited about this because it's sort of the work you've done has created a brand. The work we're doing will scale that brand. With that brand comes an obligation beyond the Saude Crianca brand. It becomes an obligation that we are now an important player in this concept of finding social inclusion. And with that comes an obligation that says we're going to do something about it. We are going to make this the place where this is discussed, where this is action, where people learn about social inclusion and how they can play a role in it. We talked about what is a business's role in social inclusion? What is the individual who doesn't know how to take action? What is the student? What is the point where there's a shift happening? We've created a brand. We want that brand to be much more prevalent, but with that brand comes an obligation that we're part of a bigger thing. And we're going to take ownership of that bigger thing, and we're going to be a big part in creating awareness in Brazil and globally on social inclusion. And that's the vision, isn't it? That we're changing the world here, Vera.
I think because so many people came to this work, and so many companies help us, to get here. That I think the step forward is, to convince common people from all over Brazil and the world that they are each person is so important.
Yes.
But I know, although the government can be very good, it's not enough. If the civil society, if the company, if they really don't want to be engaged,
the private sector, the public sector,
the country will not be an equal country. There's no way out. Even if you have the best government, there's no way out without the civil society.